It's the 28th of October 2020. This is our 4 p.m. movement snack, our third opportunity of the day to add those extra minutes into our day over and above everything we're already doing. And I'm sure we're all very, very busy people. So let's decide whether we're going to do this seated or standing. That's our first choice. And whichever it is the correct one. Okay, so in our standing position, if we're going to be standing, if we're going to be seated, it's a tall position either way. So in our standing, we've got our heels in line with our hips and in line with our knees. The knees stay slightly soft, but we're not bending them anymore. We're lifting and lengthening from our hips, separating your ribs and your hips by about a couple of inches. Bringing those shoulders up, taking them back, bringing the shoulder blades together and pressing down, that active press down, lengthening through our neck. And imagine that piece of string pulling you tall from the top of your head. Fixed external support available to us if we need it. In our seated position, then the first thing we're going to do is bring ourselves into an active seated position by bringing the back off the chair. Once we're there, we've engaged the muscles more into our abdominal area. So let's lift and shift as we hip walk into the front third of the chair. In our front third of the chair, heels are flat, feet are flat on the floor, heels in line with knees, knees in line with hips again. Sit tall on your buttocks firstly. So there's another sit tall for you. Lift and lengthen once more from your hips. Separating ribs and hips, shoulders up, back, and pressing down, lengthening through the neck. We start there with our circulation booster. And our circulation booster is our on switch. It's us switching the body on, getting it ready for the activity we're going to do. So wonderful thing to do first thing in the morning. If we've been sat down for a while as well, good thing to do. Have a bit of a circulation booster. Get the circulation boosting around the body, get the blood pumping a bit faster, get the heart rate up a little bit. We may start to breathe a little bit heavier as well, getting more oxygen into the body. Now from here we can take it a stage further if we want to, into a march, and by that march we're just lifting the foot off the floor. So it's not a big regimental march. All of this is flowing movements, rhythmic movements, and the aim of it is to heat the body up a little bit, to get that blood circulating. It does what it says on the tin, it's a circulation booster. Seated wise, this is a big movement here into our hip flexors. So a couple of options for you. Back in here with those heel raises or a toe tap in front. You could even take the feet a little bit further away and have a toe tap there, as opposed to a heel lift, and have a toe lift. In our standing position, then we can see here that movement with the foot coming off the floor. It's not a big movement. We're just peeling the toes off lastly, then placing them back down on the floor firstly. So it's a smooth motion. There's no stamping, there's no impact. Let's pop an arm movement in as well. So we just take that intensity a little bit higher. And this arm movement happens from the shoulder, driving the elbows back. It nearly became a locomotion then, and knees went into that. And if you feel steady and stable, both arms in standing, in seated, you can do both arms. If we're utilising our support, take a pause, as many steps as you need to change your direction, and then you bring the other arm in on the other side. We're aiming for about a minute or a couple of minutes of this, warming the muscles, loosening the joints, warming the joints, ready for our sway and our stretch to follow as well. After a minute or a couple of minutes, let's take a pause, and we should feel as though we want to take a couple of deep breaths. But we shouldn't feel out of breath. That's what our circulation boost is all about. Just getting it a little bit warmed up. We're out of breath slightly, in as much as we want to take a couple of deep breaths, but not struggling to breathe. Okay, let's go with our sway. So you remember, we left it on Monday with our arm movements, which was this double arm movement here to start off with a pause, yeah? Yesterday, Bex added in the foot movement for you. Just move this back a little bit so I've got more room, but you can still see it. Right, so our foot movement that we added in yesterday was this forward, and you've got that rock there. So we've probably practiced that over the last 24 hours, just going through that motion with that movement onto the front foot and then onto the back foot. So we've got that shift of weight, okay? We then took the arm movement to its second level, which was 2 of these. Pausing on the second, taking the arm out to the side, bringing this arm up, palm to the front, pushing away, the other arm coming back in to meet it, rotating through to pull back in and press down. Yeah, so we've got that fluid motion through, and then we can do it on the other side. So let's have a look at putting both feet and arms together. The foot movement, firstly, we've got that step forward and that lift onto our toes at the back. Yeah, now this can challenge balance because we've got that step forward. So if you want to use just one side of the body, feel free to do so. If you want to use the support on the other side, feel free to do so. The other option for you is to not take as big a step and have both feet on the floor, so you've got that shift of weight, but you haven't taken as big a step. It's not a huge step anyway. So we're just there. Yeah, and that happens as we take the second arm forward. Okay, so we have this movement here. We have this push and this pull back in, and then this push and pause. From there, we take the arm out to the side, we bring the other hand up, push away, come back into the center, rotate and step back in. From there we can change the side of the hands, and on the second one again we step forward, we pause, take the hand out to the side, bring the other hand up, push away in front, bring it round to join, rotate through, pull back in and press down. And as we pull back in is that step in. So from the side, look, we are here. We have the movement away and the step in. Yeah, the step forward, the pause, the rotation, bringing the hand up, turning it and pushing away, arm back in, rotating, pulling back in to set. The step forward, heel comes down and you put onto the toes at the back and holding it there. Have your support available if you need it, and if you do use your support, then obviously it's just the one arm that you're doing. Remember, you can take a smaller step and just shift your weight, so you've still got that split stance but not the lift onto the toes. In our seated position, then yesterday we had a heel lift and a toe raise, so we can heel and toe, heel and toe. Yeah, so again you've got this movement here with this push forward and back, the push forward and hold, take it out, come back up, push away, bring it back in, rotate and pull back in, and you've got that hold, if you can, heel lifted, toe lifted, while this is going on. If you need to bring the hands down beforehand, the legs down beforehand, then feel free to do so. In our standing position, we would have this movement here. So we've got the push away and the pull back in. We've got the push and the step. We've got the rotation out. We've got the rotation back in here, pulling back in and stepping back in. And then as many steps as you need to change your side. So this three-dimensional movement, we're moving forward, we're moving to the side, we're moving up and we're moving out. And all of those movements together, we move in 3 dimensions continually. We never move in 1 dimension. So we never only move forward. We never only move backwards, we never only move sideways, we never only move one part of the body in line with everything else. We're always moving in lots of different directions. Even while we're walking, we're talking to somebody, we're looking to see where things are. When we go to pick something up, we'll reach and we'll pick it up. So this is an element of us practicing those movements for the body to experience the movement in its isolation and do some learning as far as muscle tensions are concerned, as far as which muscles to release, which muscles to contract, where the balance points are, where is our supporting part, where is our moving part. Okay, so let's have a go through again if we feel ready for it. So in our standing position, Heels width apart in our seated position, in our supported standing position. We've got the support to the side of us. In our seated position, we're in the front third, we're tall, we've got the feet in line with the hips. Whichever we are, standing, seated, supported, lift and lengthen to start off with. First movement with your arms, the push and the pull. The second push is where the step forward comes, and the pause, arm out, this arm comes up, rotates and pushes away. Now this is all controlled movements. So control that movement and feel the resistance within there, yeah? Changing sides, we've now got that push away. And as we push the second time, we step through, we pause, we take the hand out, we bring this hand up, rotate it, push away, back into the center, rotate through your wrists, pull back in and press down to finish. One more time on each side just so you get the flow of that, and then you can stop this, have a look back at it again, pause it, have a go with it. Does it work better for you in supported? Does it work better in seated? Are you better with a smaller step than a slightly larger and bringing it onto the toes? Are you better with keeping both feet on the floor but having that shift of weight across from the front as you step into it, and then as you come back in, bring it back in before you step? Choice is yours. Let's have a go. So we're here, we press and back in, heel down to step forward, to the side, hand up, rotate it, push away, back in, rotate, pull in and step in, press down. We push away, we come back in. We step away and pause. To the side, hand up and rotate, pushing away, back in, rotate, step back in and press. There we go. There's our three-dimensional movement with the legs and the arms put together. Going on through the week, we can progress it a little bit further as well as we start to add additional movements in there. That is where we will leave it today as far as the sway is concerned. As I say, go and have a look back at it. Decide which way is best for you, whether it is to make that smaller step, to do it in a seated position, to have your support. Remember, if you're doing your supported version, one side at a time, take your pause, as many steps as you need to reset yourself onto the other side so you're ready to go. Into our stretches. Let's start with our legs and our calf firstly. So in our standing, the position is a step back, toe down firstly, heel down. We bend the front knee and just let the body lean into it. So I'm not bending from my hips, I'm not hinging from the hips, I'm not bending at my waist. I'm just allowing the knee to bend so the straight body just comes in and it's a straight line down from my head to my heel. That stretch is in the calf, so from the knee down towards the heel. Feet flat on the floor and pointing in the same direction. That's our standing version. Seated, we take the foot out in front, heel down, toes lifted. Keeping the knee soft, we ease the heel away and we bring the toes in towards our shin so we feel that lengthening in the back of the leg. So, the first decision whether we're going to do it standing with support or seated. Go into your position and lengthen that muscle at the back of your leg. Feel that lengthening happening there. Now a stretch should be felt, but it shouldn't hurt. And we're going to hold it for around 12 to 20 seconds. Once we've done that, ease off, step back in standing, step back in. In standing, change your direction to the other side so you've got support on the other side, and then bring the other leg out in front in seated, stepping it back in standing. Setting it up firstly, making sure you've got the posture, you're lifted and lengthening, and then either bend the knee to help you to let yourself lean forward or ease that heel away to bring that stretch in. The thing with the stretch as well is we should feel the lengthening, but as we finish, we should feel it finishing. So make sure that as you step back in, as you bring the foot back in, you feel that lengthening of the muscle ending. 12 to 20 seconds again, and we step it back in, and we can feel the lengthening stopping within the muscle. Into our back of the thigh now, and let's have a look at it in seated firstly, and then I'll bring it to standing for you. Heel goes out in front, as it did with the calf stretch, but the toes relax this time. We've got that lift and lengthen from our hips, and then there's a hip hinge, yeah? So let me turn my chair sideways a bit so you can see that hip hinge. Back is straight, look, I'm supporting myself on this leg here, I'm just hinging from my hip. Now what's the difference, you may ask? Well, I'm not bending from my waist, it's that literally that hinge, so allowing the body to come forward from the hip, and the stretch is here into the back of my thigh. In seated, if you feel that in your calf as well, relax your toes more. Now in standing, we take the foot forward again. We lift tall, so we lift and lengthen. We've got our support to the side, and again, there's that hip hinge. Coming forward and placing your hand on your hips. Or you can place your hand on the opposite leg. Yeah, again, you've got that lengthening down there. Now, if you're doing this without support, then both hands onto this leg here or onto your hips. Don't put any weight onto this front knee. The front knee is straight, but it's not locked. Again, we've got that 12 to 20 seconds, but if we feel it easing off, take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, come a little bit further into it, just lengthening it a bit more. And when you've done your 12 to 20 seconds, come back up, step back in, and feel the stretch ending. Now again, if you're using your support, change to the other side. In seated, change to the other leg, and then take that foot out, reset. This lift firstly starts the lengthening of the muscle here, and then that hinge brings it in, and we feel it all the way down. So from the bottom down towards the back of our knee. That extra little bit, if you can do it. So if you find it easing off and you take your breath in and then take it that little bit further, what we're just doing is trying to lengthen that muscle a little bit more. Back of the thigh is really great for our flexibility. So even if we're in, think of ourselves in a seated position, think of things like putting your socks on here, yeah? That flexibility here that you can bring in by bringing that little bit of extra stretch in is going to help with things like that. Reaching down, doing your shoelaces up, picking things off the floor, all of those things where this flexibility is going to help. Right, that's the front and the back of our thigh. Okay, what we want to do now is across the chest. So, hand into the small of the back, either here, or you might find it more comfortable here. And what we do is we ease the shoulder blades back in together. So can you see how the creases at the top of the shirt disappear? We've got that stretch across the top here. In seated, exactly the same. What you might want to do in a seated position as well is put the hands onto the chair if you find that more comfortable, and ease the shoulders back so you lengthen across the top of the chest, opening up across through the top of our chest. And then from there, once you've done your 12 to 20 seconds, take a pause and let's have a look at the side of our body. We've got this rotation within there, so let's have a look at this part of our body here. So, let's all come into a seated position. And to come into our seated position from standing, feel the chair against the back of your legs, lower with control. Always lower with control. Don't allow ourselves to flop down into it. We end up at the back of the chair. So firstly lift from the back of the chair, and then lift and shift with that heel walk and hip walk into the front third of the chair. From there, we're going to place one hand on the shoulder. Ease the elbow up till you feel the stretch in the back of the arm here, and then two choices for you. Either hand down here, lift the elbow a little bit higher, and then lean across just to get this lengthening down the back side of the body here, or arm up towards the ceiling, hand down to the chair, and reach a little bit taller. As if you're back at school, I know the answer, pick me. That little lift, please. Or you're waiting to be picked for sports, something like that, yeah? And then help the hand down, change to the side. And again, exactly the same, you've either got the lift and the tip over with the support at the side, or lengthen, hand down, and lift that little bit taller. And what we're doing with that stretch is we're opening these muscles down through the side of the body. So we're lengthening down through the side of the body. And included in there is the muscles that are in between our ribs. And they work as we breathe in and breathe out. They're called our intercostal muscles. And as we're breathing in and breathing out, we've got that movement of the ribs. So they're constantly working. So good to give them a little stretch every now and again. One hand comes across onto your shoulder, other hand comes under your arm, and pull together to just open up across the top of the back. Holding this for about 12 seconds, and then we're going to release, and we're going to take it across the other way. So just the 12 seconds for this one, because we're going to do it twice. And there we are, stretched out. Now, just have a little roll to reset and allow yourself to relax a little. So if you want to take a shift back into the back of the chair and sit yourself back. That's us done with our sway and stretch for this Wednesday afternoon. So you've got that leg movement there as well, put together with your arm movements. So have a go, look back at it. Say the first decision is decide how you want to do it. Do you want to do it in seated? Do you want to do it in standing with support, or do you want to do it in standing unsupported? Then if you decided to do it in standing unsupported, do you want to lift the back heel off, or do you want to just stay with a split stance with both feet down on the floor? The options are there for you. So choose the one that is right for you. Have a go at that. I will be with you again on Thursday. On Friday, sorry. I'm not here again tomorrow. Back at work tomorrow afternoon, starting at 4. So Bex is with you again tomorrow afternoon, and we'll progress it a little bit further as we go through the rest of the week. Tomorrow we'll probably just practice that all again, and then Friday we'll add some more into it as well. Have a great evening, everybody. Keep crowbarring in additional activities. Keep having a look at those movements and all your other things as well. So your mobility movements, your strength movements and balance movements that you've done at lunchtime with Kelsey. Keep trying to crowbar in extra activities over and above everything you've done. By the end of the day, we're going to have at least an hour of additional movement minutes into our benefits bag, additional pebbles into our egg cup, additional figs into our Nutella bottle, whatever it is, we're going to have them in there. Have a great evening, everybody, and I will see you on Friday at 4 o'clock. Take care. Bye-bye.